Or are you going to have the feed on?
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, shit. I like it.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
There's Nate. Hey guys, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Sunday, November 14th, 2021, and it's time for the NHRA Finals, the Auto Club NHRA Finals in Pomona. Joined to my right, technically, by the one and only Murder Tundra. We got Nate Van Wagner that's going to be joining us in a few minutes. My buddy Jason Dukes. Who knows who else will get thrown into this whole deal here. And I also, what do you think about this? Let's add it. How do we add it?
Yeah. Let me look here.
Oh, here we go.
Got it? Oh, yeah.
There
I kind of
we
like
go.
it like that. Yeah, I kind of like that.
I don't think it's bad. We're probably going to get kicked off the World Wide Web for this or sued by Fox, but send it.
Well, if nobody else will put it on TV, I mean, how sad is that it's not on TV right now?
I find it pretty sad.
There's Nate.
Nate, what's up, dude?
Looking forward to watching this race today.
I think it's going to be good. I want to remind everybody, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this deal. Always exciting. We will dive in and out of the screen share here, guys, so we don't get ourselves kicked off the internet. But we're getting right into it. Could somebody go ahead and bring up for me the first round matchup? Does anybody have the pairings in front of you?
Not in front of me. I do not.
Oh, Doug Coletta. Man, do you think Doug has like heart palpitations every time he goes to goes to Pomona? Like he's just been on the losing end of so many deals in Pomona. It's got to be rough. Hey, how about it? Alex Laughlin, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think of seeing the Drag Illustrated logo on the side of a freaking Top Fuel dragster?
Yeah,
I love it.
That was really cool.
It's on the wing. It's on the. Oh, there it is. Did you see it?
Yeah.
We got to legit see it. Let's share that with the masses here. We'll watch Alex Laughlin make a pass. Let me see here. I got to get.
Alex had a great post earlier too about Scott Palmer and everything he's done for him. Not really knowing him Eve from Adam, and then basically just crawling out of the seat and letting Alex have a shot at it. A pretty cool story.
You have to admit it's pretty amazing, to be honest with you guys.
And how cool is this? Like all the fans, paid money to have their names riding on the side of that car. I mean, how cool is that?
That's a really cool idea.
It looks cool too. I mean, like
it really does.
It looks badass.
I don't know that anybody else could have executed it as well as he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they just do a great job. Like every car that Alex has ever had.
Here's our buddy Clay too.
Yeah, Clay in the right. And I tell you what, I'm full blown in love with Clay Milliken. What he's done, hanging out with us and spending all the time. I mean, here we go. Alex is in. Trees down. Alex late. Alex visibly late, unfortunately. Clay Milliken first to the stripe there. I want to remind everybody that spoiler alerts are in full swing here. So if you're trying to watch the race in an hour on Fox or something like that, you are going to be frustrated. So just keep scrolling. Move the thumb. Just move on down the road, because
it was kind of like Yellowstone this week. I recorded it, and dude, I couldn't even get on Facebook or anything, because I was so afraid they were going to spoil it for me.
It's inescapable, man. And in this, let's talk about that briefly. The whole spoiler alert thing, I get it as a boxing and a mixed UFC fan. If I don't watch a show live, I feel you. I've got to mute all those notifications, but I'm not going to get on the internet and be all mad at everybody or send a bunch of nasty emails because
it's your fault. I mean, like,
it's my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry I couldn't
Drives
put
me
my phone
bonkers.
down and stay off Facebook for an hour. You know what I mean? Like, really? That's someone else's fault?
Today, this is going to be spectacular, you guys. I want to read through these championship scenarios real quick. Let's go back to this view. Our own Josh Hatchett, who's in the water, Nathan? Matco, okay. Justin Ashley and Antron Brown?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I do want to run through these championship scenarios really quick because I don't know that everybody is as lucky as we are to have like a squadron full of drag racing fanatics talking about this stuff pretty much ad nausea all day, every day. I asked Josh Hatchett, senior editor at Drag Illustrated, for an update. He shot me over basically some just stuff for us to kind of operate by today. So first and foremost, we're here in Top Fuel right now. If Steve Torrence wins first round, he wins the title. So Steve Torrence, we're going to see him run here in just a few minutes. If he somehow loses, Brittany Force would have to win the whole race to win the championship. So, I mean, I'm getting chills, to be honest, as with you guys as we talk about this stuff. It's so cool. Caps and Hagen, Ron Caps, Matt Hagen, shout out to both these guys. Been on the show recently. Incredible interviews, incredible racers, incredible competitors. Caps and Hagen could meet in the second round. Caps is more than 2 rounds up, 67 points. So if he wins first round, he being Caps, Hagen would have to win their race in the second round and win the whole race. If Caps wins in the second round, he wins the championship. He clinches it. So we've obviously got a lot to talk about in Pro Stock and Pro Stock Fight, but we will focus on Top Fuel here for the next little bit. We've got Antron Brown, who we need to get on the show soon.
We do, yeah.
Justin Ashley looks like he got him. Did he?
I'm behind.
Yeah.
Antron pulled it off.
Antron pulled it off. You have a relationship with some of those guys on the Matco team there, Nate. I mean, is it good to see them having signed it like a last race of the season surge? I mean, because that's kind of what it feels like. Bad timing to kind of like.
They've had a tough season for sure. Definitely haven't performed to their abilities. That's a world championship team, multi times over. So definitely it'd be good for them to have a good weekend. This is kind of their last race under the DSR umbrella. Antron's forming his own team for next season. I'm sure there will still be a lot of DSR involvement, but kind of the last race as a true DSR driver and team.
2 things. A, your boy needs to get some sun. I'm going outside to literally like lay in the sun for the rest of the afternoon. You got to get some color here. Secondly, how about Brian Karate? Right, we just saw him on the screen. Owns a pizza. Didn't you like go hang out with him and eat pizza after you did that cover story about him?
Yeah. I did the interview in one of his pizzerias. He owns a chain of them, or multiple franchises in a small chain in Cleveland, Ohio. We sat in the restaurant, did the interview, and then he took me back in the kitchen and made a pizza and some wings. So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Mike Salinas here. I think Salinas, do you have any insight? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Nate, but do you have any insight about some of this crew chief scuttlebutt that I'm hearing about, some potential movement and some guys changing shirts over the course of the next couple of weeks, perhaps?
Yeah, I just caught they announced that Alan Johnson will be joining Coletta Motorsports next season, so I'm not sure where that leaves Mike Salinas in that team. I'm assuming Brian Houston will stay on, but as far as that, I'm not sure.
Do you think is that confirmed that Brian Houston will stay on? Because that's freaking big news, friends.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know that has been confirmed, but
okay,
I would assume that would be the case.
So does that mean that, because Brian Houston, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian Houston and Alan Johnson, that's a little bit of that's a dynamic duo, correct? I mean,
yeah,
they're
definitely.
A package deal.
They've been together for a while, had a lot of success together. So, I know Brian's been a huge part of their success, and I'm sure, assuming that he does stay on, they'll continue to perform very well.
So you think
he gets it?
Oh man, that looked fast. What did it run? 377. It looked better than that, or 74. Okay. Man, do you, being such an 8th mile guy, JT, do you ever like lose your mind when you see the 8th mile times and it's 3 flat, 3.00?
Yeah, and the speeds. It's just it floors me really, you know. But
JT's been around 8th mile racing infinitely more than quarter mile racing.
Yes,
it's kind of cool.
And even the speeds, you know, like the speeds that they're getting in the 8th mile anymore are just in the times. It's just unreal.
It's unbelievable.
You know, it's like
whenever Clay told us the other night that he's been 2.89 seconds to the 8th mile.
Yes.
I'm like, that's hard to really wrap your head around.
I mean, like,
yeah, it really is.
I'm trying to bust out the Top Fuel.
I can't even bong a beer that fast. I mean, like, you know, I mean, it's crazy.
And I've tried. Is what you were about to say next. Yeah,
a lot. You know?
Here we go. Top Fuel eliminations ladder. All right. So I got the ladder in front of me.
Sean Langdon and Trip Tatum, Billy Torrance and Brittany Force, Steve Torrance and Brandon Welch, and then looks like we have Leah Pruitt and Cameron Frey up now.
It's cool to see Cameron Frey back out there, right?
Mm-hmm. And and he's in a really great car right now. He ran a career best 380 with I think a 3.
Oh shit! It won't go into reverse.
There we go.
There is it going? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's always the heartbreaker. You know what I mean? Especially for these guys that you know have like done everything short of selling their soul to be there, you know, and then they have some issue like that. I got to say, Leah's direct connection car, this new direct connection Top Fuel dragster with the capsule and stuff, really good looking hot rod, in my opinion.
That is, isn't it?
Right. And it would appear to me that there's a lot of, and I don't know if this is strategy or just how the styling worked, but there's a lot of room on that car for logos. Are you noticing that? Like, clearly a couple other brands are going on that thing in the very near future. Very interesting shot right there, right? Don Schumacher, Tony Stewart, standing right behind him, a few feet back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's huge.
Dang.
Dude, if you have to understand Leah Pruitt's frustration at this point in time. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not trying to, I mean, we're probably going to piss somebody off, but like, guys, we've got to, there's clearly something awry in that circle because they have struggled like at a level that is hard to understand with a team of that caliber. Do you agree, Nate? I mean, this seems shocking struggle.
Yeah, the DSR Top Fuel teams, they've definitely had a tough season, and it's hard to tell, you know, what that issue is. But hopefully they can kind of bounce back. But then again, that's another team, Leah, that won't be with DSR next year. You know, Leah and Matt Hagan going off with the new Tony Stewart Racing Nitro operation. Again, I believe there will be some sort of DSR involvement as far as providing, you know, cars, parts, and that kind of thing. Just based on how some of these other deals have gone, you know, Bob Tasca, that's another team that races with a lot of DSR involvement outside of the DSR confines.
Sophia's watching on her iPad. That's cool.
Oh, is she?
I gotta watch my language. Love you, baby.
Shutting down the
no,
wall.
dude, it's very odd to me.
Thanks,
the
Scott.
Struggles that are happening there, Nate. It's because I mean, it looked like they were. I don't know. I guess from afar, and obviously, you know, we don't know all the inner workings of the situation, but it would seem like you would really want to give. I mean, Leah is arguably the most visible drag racer of all time. I mean, her relationship with Papa John's, being on those pizza boxes, being in the Dodge commercials, the Lego stuff. Yep. I mean, she's got a huge following, and she's had a lot of people really invest in her. And it just seems like it would make sense. I mean, you would want her like in your best car, you would think. You know what I mean? And I'm sure at somewhere along the line, it boils down to finances. So I'm sure, you know what I mean? It's just an interesting thing. Who's going to be, Beans is asking, who's going to be with Tony next year? as far as a crew chief. Do you have any insight on that? Has that already been announced and I just don't know?
Yeah, so it was announced yesterday, I believe, or maybe it was Friday. I believe, I don't want to misspeak here. I believe it's Neil Strasbaugh as head crew chief on Leah's car, and then Mike Damagala is going to come in as co-crew chief, and then on Hagen's team, Dickie Venables will continue, as will a number of the main crew members.
What is all that coming off of Cameron's car there?
No, I was looking at that too.
The chute come apart or something? It didn't look like pieces of a parachute, though. Did I tell you guys I went to Stroud? I did. We talked about that on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday. Man, what a deal. Going to Stroud Safety. Shout out to Stroud, long time or big time supporter of us here at Drag Illustrated. They're picking up all that stuff. That's going to take a minute. A little bit bummed on the crowd. I know Sundays are always a little light, but I do you think this is a result of the NHRA having been here in July fairly recently?
Yeah, we were talking about that on Slack Friday or Saturday, and I definitely do think that plays into it. It's traditionally been a February race and a November race, and so many people plan around that, and I think this year's schedule change may have kind of affected those people that maybe lock in those dates.
Right. Well, so who's next? Who's the two pairs in the water? Do you know? Can you see? Because I want to get this championship locked up, guys. I'm excited to get one of these deals locked in. I would love to hear everybody. Hey, two things to everybody watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here, enjoying the NHRA with us. NHRA Auto Club Finals in Pomona, the big one. We've got championships up for grabs in every one of these professional categories, which is kind of an amazing scenario. Very, very cool. Dean Tate checking in an hour from Pomona. I'd love to see you going over, Dean, but you're here watching it. Why even bother? Be a part of this party. I kid. But I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this, checking out the race with us. Our first time ever doing this, or at least for a long time. Please let us know where you're checking in from and hit that share button. Help us put drag racing in front of as many people as possible, because we really think drag racing, obviously that's the tip of the spear, but it's all this conversation around drag racing and around what we're seeing on the track and in the pits that we believe here at Drag Illustrated is kind of missing from our sport right now. We need more conversation. We need more debates and differing perspectives. We need more people talking about this stuff. And ladies and gentlemen,
here we go.
I guess the time is here. Is this Billy Torrance or Steve? I think this is Steve, right?
I think it might be Billy.
Billy Torrance has Brittany Force. So if it's Brittany, no. This is Steve Torrance.
Yep.
Right here, guys.
Yep.
Right here it is. We have Steve Torrance and the Capco boys, which have just been on a roll. Bracket racer from Sunset, Texas here, y'all. Joshua Clinton, thanks for being here, man. I just love when people tell us, where you're from, what you do. We just like to know about the people that are checking in. It means a lot. Todd Fuchs checking in from North Dakota. No, man, it's really, really cool. So Steve Torrance here in that Red Line Oil. We have some major news at Drag Illustrated. We're going to be breaking about Red Line Oil next week. Very, very exciting. Shout out to Mark Beatty and all those guys. But what a moment here for Bobby Lagana, Gary Pritchett, all them boys that were recently on the cover of Drag Illustrated. I don't know if we have that graphic in the brand section currently. It doesn't look like we do.
Let me look. I don't think we do.
But dude, what an incredible performance they've had for the last several years. I think with a win right here, guys, I think Steve Torrance is inching towards, all-time great kind of status. Not that he's maybe not already there.
Nope.
And there she is, friends. That's all she wrote. It's over. The NHRA Top Fuel Championship has been decided. Huge congratulations to Steve Torrence, Billy Torrence, Bobby Lagana.
I went out on a limb and picked him. So, and I mean,
I need to see him climb out of that thing and give me some 6-shooters. What a run, 845, 60 foot. Didn't really push it on the tree there. And I missed the.
Here he comes. Yeah. See, now that's good.
We're going to get it.
I love seeing shit like that, man.
There we go.
Yep.
That's getting lit right there. Isn't that great, T? I mean,
it is.
People don't understand how important that is. We need to see some reaction. Shout out, giving praise to the Almighty, thanking his Lord and Savior. That is fantastic. What a moment. Texas boy, great story. Cancer survivor, second-generation racer, family affair. Listen, very difficult to hate on Steve Torrence and them Capco boys, man. Pure class over there, shaking the hand of his competitor. Really, really great moment. Cool to see the NHRA team there. I can't think of that kid's name off the top of my head. Nate, you might know, but capturing some behind-the-scenes social media footage. And here we go. We're headed to the podium. Let's get a hat on this old boy. Let's get a cowboy hat or a ball cap. Go through do the song and dance. Cool. They're gonna have Amanda Busick do there's his wife Natalie. Really cool moment for them. Got the baby in hand. How cool.
So awesome, man. Domination, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt.
I'm turning mine up real quick, guys, so I can just hear what he says and react.
Okay. I need to turn mine off because I'm a little ahead, so. You're muted, Wes.
He's too hard on himself. Way too hard on himself. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? He's still apologizing for that deal with Cameron Ferre like 3 years ago. You know what I mean?
Let's move on.
Yeah, well, I mean, and he's a great ambassador for our sport. Like that passion that was shown that day with Cameron. I understand that it's not for everybody, but that wasn't mean-spirited. That was rooted in competitive drive, man. That was rooted in competitive desire. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, he about lost that trophy. All right. Couple of things I'm noticing. First and foremost, I want to continue kind of down that path. That this is a fantastic ambassador for the sport of drag racing. This is a clean-cut, good-looking father, happily married. You know, I mean, this is a good guy. This is someone that we can tell our kids to follow. This is someone that we can be proud of when he's on the mic. Did you see how well-spoken and composed he was climbing out of a top-fuel dragster with all that stress and pressure and anxiety to keep it together and be able to get out of the car and put on a show like that? There he is with his wife, Natalie. What a great shot. Great shot, man. She's actually a fantastic media representative in our industry as well. So really cool deal, man. Are you guys surprised? This was my second note. I'm going to tell Glenn Cromwell this. We got to get Glenn Cromwell on stage in these moments. The president of the NHRA has to be in these photos.
Yep.
And I'm gonna mention to him, man. Hey, Scott Allen giving me a hard time. Talk about man love. Hey, I'm just trying to be a promoter here. Somebody's got to promote these guys. Somebody's got to try to help build their fan base and connect them to the masses. And if it's me, and that makes me a man-loving Steve Torrence fanboy, that's fine. I got thick skin. But seriously, why can't we got to get Glenn Cromwell and some NHRA reps up on stage here? They've got to be a part of these moments. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, if you win the Super Bowl, everybody's down the field, and you know what I mean. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, we need Don Garlitz down there. We need you know, Don's actually probably a bad example. I don't think you need Tony Schumacher down there. You need some other dudes down there. You know what I mean? That like brings some weight and significance to that moment. I just not to be diving immediately into critiquing here, but I just really think it's important I mean, there's a couple of moments that come to mind. Dana White. You're always going to see Dana White, president of the UFC, be the guy who puts that belt around his champion. I mean, and if he's not doing that, right? If he's not doing that, he's got a celebrity there doing it. You feel me?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's got The Rock doing it, or Halle Berry, or whatever. Some mainstream Hollywood celebrity. Really got to get some NHRA brass on camera. I think it's important as we move into the future here. And I think a great time for car culture, a great time for motorsports, a great time for drag racing. Our leadership has to be more visible moving forward. Has to be more visible.
I had that conversation earlier on the phone with a guy. I said, if he'd walk through the door, most people wouldn't even know who he is. You know, but like Roger Goodell, like just take the NFL for instance. I know
a celebrity
because I follow a lot of football. But I'd be willing to bet that a lot of people who are just so fans know who Roger Goodell is.
A million percent. I mean, I don't think I'm probably an above average NFL fan. I'm more than a casual fan. Like I'm not hardcore, but I mean, everybody knows who Roger Goodell is. I mean, it's a constant thing. Murder team. What about Eric Pierce here? You may have missed me talking about this. What about when Steve had that top end altercation and shoved the other competitor and had to take anger management courses? I got multiple opinions about that. And I think the reasons, I want to defend Steve. We're not friends or anything like that necessarily. I mean, I feel like we're friendly, but I don't hang out with Steve Torrance, so I'm not here to defend him. My point is just that those moments are going to happen. You watch the Super Bowl, it gets chippy. You watch playoff football, it gets chippy. You watch playoff basketball, it gets chippy. And I mean, you get championship drag racing, it gets chippy. You know what I mean? There's a lot on the line. There's a lot at stake. And
if you're competitive, you're going to have those moments. I mean, I'm competitive on everything. Like I was playing dice in a bar last night, and
shocking.
You'd think I would have won the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm that competitive on stuff, and so I think that anybody that is gets it. And if you're not, you have to,
man. I mean, and that's so. I mean, I understand. Nobody is perfect, and it was interesting. And I think some of the frustration that existed with the Torrance camp and the Capco family, the Capco team, was that NHRA wanted to find them and slap their wrist and scold them for that altercation, but then they used it on every possible promo they had. So in this breath, we're going to tell you, don't do this, you're in trouble, you got to go to anger management. But in the next breath, we're going to put it on every highlight reel. We're going to put it on every promo package that we create, because we know this is the stuff we need to get people excited. So it's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow when he got in trouble for doing something that I would argue our sport really needs. Janie Smith, great comment. I mean, they're humans. That's the thing. We want these people to be human. We don't want these cars driven by robots. I mean, if we want no drama in the shutdown, make them RC cars, right? Make them robot controlled, computer controlled. I want to see some drama in the shutdown.
Yeah, and another thing is, it kind of irritates me about that whole situation is, everyone is so quick to judge Steve off of this one incident that he had. He was vocal about the countdown situation when he lost to Brittany several years back. That also contributes to that. But what a lot of people don't realize or consider is how much the Steve and his family contribute to nitro racing. And I didn't fully understand it till I went over and talked to Bobby Lagana for the cover story. They lend parts to so many different teams. They do a lot to keep some of these smaller teams out there, because they know that it's important that those teams that don't make it to every race get down the track and put on a good show and fill a full field. So, if you're going to judge Steve for his little incidents like that, you also have to consider his bigger impact that a lot of people.
I agree, 100%. Question: how tough is it going to be for Brittany Force to kind of finish her year on a tire smoking, lackluster affair like that? Just curious.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
There's nothing worse.
And you watch right in front of you. You watch right in front of you, them lock it up too. So I mean, that whole situation's hard, I'd say.
It's going to take a while to shake that off. I hate it for Brittany. I think you could sense it in our interview with her a couple of weeks ago. You know, like she seemed tense, to be honest. I mean, you could sense, you know, the weight of this situation just talking to her via the internet. So really, really tough spot there. Yeah, I'd say the party will be starting shortly. There's Steve Torrance heading up the return road. We'll throw that on the old big screen here. He's getting a good reaction from the fans, you know.
Yep,
he deserves it.
Here we go on the main.
Yeah, I sure wish those stands. I sure wish them stands were full.
Yeah,
I do love the way they did that Toyota truck display right there. That was sick, right?
Yep.
Are they playing Queen? I need to get this off here real quick because we'll get shut down. You know what I mean? Like Facebook will notice that Queen's playing in the background, and then
that's
take
what they'll flag it for.
Down.
Yeah,
they'll flag it for it. So
yeah,
I do like this. The police escort up the return road here. We need more of this.
Yeah, the fans are giving him that's pretty dang cool.
Alicia's saying that California still has a lot of COVID restrictions. Is that true? I'm sure it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. Because I mean, this may be like a deal where they can only sell so many tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's contributed. And like one of the comments said, you know, they started at 10 a.m., which is definitely on the early side. You know, for so long we've been programmed to know, you know, eliminations start at 11 a.m. no matter if you're in Pomona on the West Coast, you're in Indy on Eastern time, or you're in the middle of the country. So
what's that about?
I'm not real sure.
Because I mean, I got to be honest, I wasn't ready. I was scrambling around here because I was not aware that they were doing the race an hour early. It didn't, you know what I mean? So I wasn't ready. I mean, like to do this show.
I would assume it has to do with a TV window.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
But it's odd because it's not even live. You know what I mean?
Which is nuts.
We got Joey Haas here in the comments, man. Huge contributor to my success in Taunton Motorsports, not counting the Midwest match racing we do with Lagana's. Well, it's really cool to have Joey riding along with us here for the NHRA Finals in Pomona. Thank you for that very much. Another great ambassador for the sport of drag racing, an incredible young man. But he's right. I mean, I've heard countless stories about somebody that's been helped out by Lagana's, gotten some parts from them, gotten a baseline tune-up from them. I believe Scott Palmer is another team that's been massively kind of lent a hand, so to speak, by these guys. What do we got on the top end here?
Brittany.
Oh, let's give this young woman some credit to face the cameras in this moment. Jeez Louise.
Is there any way to put a little sound to that, Wes?
Team, Steve Torrance, they did an amazing job. They earned it. They deserve it. But we'll come after him next year. We'll be back here shortly, and can't wait to chase him down and start all over again. Thank you.
Did it work?
Yep.
I'm going to turn it back off now, though, okay?
Okay.
Right down the road in Orange, California.
Okay, so it says, Alan, hey, what's up, Johnny Pacino? What's happening down in Orlando? I was actually trying to pull up. What time do they start in Orlando? I was trying to pull that up.
They
already started.
Yeah, they already ran first round of Pro Mod. I caught it.
Jeez Louise.
Tuned in about 12:45 Eastern, and it's
Sunday morning. They're trying to
finishing Pro Mod.
There's
everybody.
Jason
Paul Lee. Where?
What's up, Jason?
Oh yeah.
What's up? You guys caught me with my mouth full.
It's okay, man. What's happening? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only performance coach extraordinaire, business coach, and the host of the brand new Drag Illustrated podcast, The Business of Racing, that will be launching later this fall. Jason Dukes down in the bottom corner there. What do you, how impressed? I don't know if you caught any of that. Jason, did you happen to see Brittany in the winner's circle, or not in the winner's circle there, but on camera, kind of discussing not winning the championship?
No.
Okay.
So I was at the beach. Yeah, starting out there. I was at the beach. And I watched a little bit of the show. I watched up until Leah ran, and then I turned off to get up here.
Do you how hard do you think those moments are being thrown in front of a camera after losing? Like, it's one thing, we've seen more of that, I think, in 2021 than I've ever seen before. I don't know if that was a part of like Fox and NHRA's approach to 2021, just to get more human faces on TV. But I feel like I've seen, just in Vegas a couple weeks ago, we saw John Force on camera immediately after losing early. We saw Matt Hagan on camera immediately after losing in the first round. And now we see Brittany Force on camera immediately after losing first round and ultimately losing the championship. How hard is that, Jason?
It's like, yeah, it's as hard as it sounds. I think the thing is, as fans, like we grow up watching, NASCAR drivers, NHRA drivers getting interviewed after a wreck. And then, we grow up watching that, right? And we think that they actually know. And then, in my case, you grow up and you work at a racetrack, and like, you see the interviewers stick the mic in front of the person and they give a good interview, and then they pass out, and then you take them to the hospital and you're like, oh, that person had no clue what they were talking about. Or, like plenty of times at Gateway where, you'd see an accident and you'd start hustling down the track on a scooter or something like that, and the driver would get out and you'd be like, ease back a little bit on the throttle because you're like, oh, everything's okay. And then the person passes out and you're like, oh, no.
It's true, man.
Yeah. So it's an incredibly hard thing to I mean, how it is just being on, like, especially in 2001, like being a voice and being a face and like needing to say and get everything right. Like, imagine getting out of 10,000, 11,000 horsepower car and have to get everything right. Like, these guys are extreme pros.
It's pretty impressive, man. Kudos to everybody, Brittany, everybody that has had to face that here in 2021, because I feel like I've seen more of it than I ever have. So let me real quick burn through. Go ahead.
Check this out real quick. This comment from Scott. They used an airboat running behind a truck to get OSW dry last night. Q3 didn't run, and they changed to a 32 car field. But that's kind of cool, isn't it? An airboat running behind a truck to get the track dry.
That is pretty cool. What's so they swapped from a 16 car to a 32 car field? Wow.
It looks like it, because
that's a big change, man. That's a big change to make. I think it's kind of interesting because that's a great example of when a track tried to do like the right thing, because a bunch of cars that maybe would have gotten into the field didn't get into the field because that's qualifying round was taken away from them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's interesting.
That's also the most Florida thing ever, to have an airboat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do the funny car little breakdown here provided by our Drag Illustrated senior editor, Josh Hatchett. Capps and Hagan, Ron Capps, Matt Hagan could meet in the second round if they both win. Ron Capps is up by 2 rounds, 67 points. So if he wins first round, Hagan would have to beat him in the second round and go on to win the race in order to take the championship. All Ron has to do is win second round. If he wins here and then wins second round, either against Matt Hagan or someone else, he will seal the deal on a 2021 Camping World NHRA Drag Racing Series Championship. So our plan here is to broadcast during the first round of eliminations. I would love to do this all day long, but that's a lot for me to ask of everybody here. So we're going to do all the first round, but this is going to set up a pretty interesting situation, right? And these are one of these, I love the if this, then that type of thing. And Matt Hagan is one of those guys that I really don't think you can count out. I mean, in these moments, he has done what he's had to do on many occasions. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah. Is the track an issue here today? Are we seeing some tricky track conditions?
I mean, so far,
feels like it.
Yeah.
Bodie's. I thought Bodie's were having a hard time. They're getting the body up. How about this young man? He's like 16 or something, 18 years old.
Yeah, he's college freshman.
He's supposed to be in Sunday school right now.
Me too, but I was at the beach.
Yeah, and from what I understand, we recently had our 30 under 30 nominations, and Bob Bodie Sr. Sent in a nomination for Bobby, and basically explained that Bobby is also involved in the tune-up on that car, and that car's run career best numbers well into the 3 second run. So pretty impressive.
It's really impressive, man. Great for our sport to see a young kid like that. I mean, it's almost hard to imagine being 18 years old driving a nitro funny car at 300 plus miles an hour. But yeah. Alexis DeJoria moves on. Is that the man right there that looked like JP, John Paul DeJoria, the one and only former owner of Patron Tequila, the man behind Paul Mitchell Hair Care Products?
I will tell
you know who I love seeing out here is Del Worsham.
You've probably paid for that car, Wes, with all the products you use.
Oh, burn.
Man.
Damn. Does Paul Mitchell make like a really good like hair gel type of thing? I use like a clay.
I imagine, like
I'm
just going to go on a limb here.
Is what it's called. I'm going to look into it.
They do have some great men's hair care products. I have used some of those in the past.
Okay. Shout out to Paul Mitchell Hair Care Products.
Yeah, well,
I can feel a sponsorship developing here.
Well, I hope so. What I will tell you from a business of motorsports too, like that's a huge win for drag racing, because you look at something like Paul Mitchell and it's like, well, that probably should be a sports car racing thing. Like it's a and that with Alexis and the family connection, that it's in drag racing, and that he goes to drag races and feels at home is huge, because there's a lot of money that follows that deal.
Well, I mean, and you would think if John Paul DeJoria is going to be involved in motorsports, it's going to be Formula One, it's going to be IndyCar. And yes, you're exactly right, Jason. The fact that he's out here at a drag strip is pretty special, man. Pretty special.
I took your advice and started watching that F1 show on Netflix. And I'm about 7 episodes in, and I am freaking hooked, man.
Do they not do a good job?
It is so good.
And we will have to circle back around on this with Dukes, because Dukes is an expert on Formula One stuff. Knows a lot of the people, knows a lot of the other side of the fence, like the powers that be. So we'll have to talk. There's a lot to learn from that show, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, was crazy too. One of the things to learn from the show is like you said, being behind the wall, is that it wasn't a highly, like, everyone wasn't on board on that. Like, it wasn't like everyone was like, yes, we'll do whatever we can. I mean, shoot, the first year Mercedes didn't even participate. Like,
yeah, Lewis Hamilton wasn't even in it.
Yeah, no, the whole Mercedes team, right? Like they didn't even participate. So it's not like everyone was like, "Oh, this is a great idea, let's do it." Like they had to, continually fight to do that.
Here we go. Good here. I was genuinely nervous, guys.
Man,
was anybody else like kind of? I was genuinely nervous.
I actually saw it about 5 seconds before we watched it. So.
Oh, did you? Okay. 390 with an 8, 325 miles per hour. Wow. Really, really cool. Okay, let's hear what he says.
This championship fight. You're on to the next round. Well, just trying to preach to all the guys that are on this. But after a test run, do you say, wow?
I feel like the ultimate man today. Like, closed the bar down last night, woke up, went deer hunting, sitting in my shop watching NHRA TV. I've got
all you need is
the Red Zone channel. I got the Red Zone channel over here on my laptop. I mean, this is awesome. That's what I live for, man.
All you need is some like beef jerky and a Budweiser.
I got that right over here. I mean,
I knew it was nearby.
Yeah,
I knew it was nearby.
That's all I eat.
All right, so now we kind of turn our attention, I suppose, to Hagen, right, Nate? I mean, we're kind of waiting to see what Hagen does. Okay.
Yep.
John Force, how cool is it? Let's throw John back up on the big screen. this is something that I think is worth talking about a little bit. Earlier this year, I had a conversation with longtime John Force Racing PR representative, Elin Warner, and we were talking a little bit about what would happen if John Force did end up winning a world championship this year. I said, would he go out and call it a day? And he goes, oh, no. If he won a 17th championship, in his mind, if I can win 17, I can win 20. You know, do you guys think that having a pretty strong 2021 ensures that we see John Force for another 1, 2, 3 seasons? I mean, do you think we're even remotely close to the end of John Force's driving career?
I don't know. I think John's one of those people that he's not going to stop driving until he is physically unable to. And you know, he's proven this year that he's still as sharp as you know, the guys that are half his age in the class. So yeah, I think we still have plenty more John Force left on track.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I mean, to your point, Nate, like, and it's not going to be his decision. Like, you know, unfortunately, it sort of reminds me of like my dad. My dad had Parkinson's, passed away 10 years ago, but it got to the point like even his street car, like we had to take the keys away from him. Like if we didn't take the keys away from him, he would still be driving. Well, I mean, even 10 years after he's dead, he'd still be driving around. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we had to take his keys away. So, yeah, I don't know that John is going to be the person who is going to be the best judge of it. But yeah, I think like Nate said, like he's not gonna. He's got
a sponsor. He's got a sponsor for as long as he wants to race. Peak said that to us.
Yeah, and I mean,
John wants to race. We're with him. So I mean that
which
helps
is pretty cool.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, there also becomes the. I mean, from a business side, right? Like there also becomes the commercial burden of that too. Of like, you know, if he gets to the point where he is unable to race and you're the sponsor funding it, like. There becomes some commercial, like actual, not liability there, but
no, I know exactly what you're saying.
What a great interview he is.
Complete professional, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a stud too, man. He does a great job. I mean, what you talk about ambassadors for the sport, you know, what has he done for us? I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, really, if you think about all the commercials and the Napa know-how, I mean, it's impressive.
Oh,
Joey Haas, great
over,
point right here. Check that. Joe Force just went 050. He isn't going anywhere.
There he goes. Congratulate Ron.
Or are we watching Hagen together? Is that what we're about to? Let's Joe Costello about to sling some tickets, it would appear. Do you think they draw straws for who has to be the one that tries to get people to renew their season tickets? You know, like who's going to do it today? You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I do think Gordon Dornan, Cruz is mathematically in the championship, but I think Ron winning in first round sealed the deal on that deal. I think there was a couple of people that were waiting. If Ron would have went out in E1, it would have opened the door for a couple of teams, I believe. But yeah, it's pretty well. It's down to it's down to Caps and Hagen at this point, to the best of my understanding.
One of the things, if I can jump in about Ron Capps, and just the commercialability of Ron Capps that he probably doesn't get credit for, or is just not seen on the drag racing side. Is this crossover ability, like having a sponsor like Napa. Like I remember on the NASCAR side when we worked with Michael Waltrip or anything that Napa ends up sponsoring, they always do things where they bring all of their racers together. And, you know, Ron will jump in a NASCAR, he'll jump in a sprint car, he'll jump in a dirt car, and typically do well, right? Like it's not like, oh, here comes a drag racing guy, they're going to suck because they just, you know, they're terrible.
You're right.
You know, like he goes there and he puts on a good show and makes drag racing looks good. And, you know, at an event where, you know, like the NASCAR program's getting $30 million and the NHRA program's probably getting $3 million. Like he makes it look like they're equal
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
good point.
That's one thing I was going to say about the F1 when I was watching it. The budget, like I think they were the small budget. This was in 2000. I'm on the first season, and they were talking what like 200 million to 600 million. You know, on the low end to the high end, and I was like, holy shit! You know, that is some
it's
jack
bananas, man. I mean, that's bananas. Yeah. Okay, so is this it right here, guys? Okay, Hagen. Let's. So this is a huge round. I mean, I think this is one of those. This is going to be a fun one, guys. I'm going to throw on the sound for everybody. We're so going to get into deep shit for this deal.
That does look good, doesn't it?
It does look good, right? Yeah. I'm on board with this direct connection branding. I'm really impressed by it. Looks great. I'm excited to see this brand back. Okay, let's hear what Alan says. We might have to go live just for that run.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Look
here.
At Ron. This is a moment. I love this shit, guys. I love this shit.
Well, they've been in this position before, but it hasn't been like they're teammates, but like won't be teammates next year. Like there's a lot on the line here.
I don't even know what I want to have happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with. This guy says he doesn't want to hear Alan. Thanks, Janie.
Got it.
Wow.
Ooh, it's close. Oh. Woo. I'm going to tell you, they didn't expect that to be that close. I guarantee you, They did not anticipate that race being that close. That was not part of the plan, I don't think, in my opinion. Definitely weren't expecting that race being so close. Oh, I guess let's should we go back to the crew chief cam here? Hold on.
That's a big moment right there for him, you know? Yeah, it looks like the left lane is coming around a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm not sure who tunes Tony Gerardo's car, but that was a really impressive run for an independent part-time team. You know, I'm sure they only get out a couple times a year. I believe they're a West Coast team, so that was a really impressive run.
I mean, I'm going to be ridiculous and say that it wouldn't be surprised if they got a little Don Schumacher support there, like to beat your own teammate who's leaving another team. I mean, if I'm anywhere on the Schumacher team, like I get that Hagen's on my team, but he's also leaving, and there's huge marketability of being the champion.
And I'm sensing that this isn't a super amicable split. I thought it was more amicable than it maybe is. If you listen to anything that Mark Powell was saying on the Wes Buck show Wednesday, Mark was talking. It's well known that Mark and Don Schumacher are close friends. Mark Powell drives one of Don Schumacher's factory shootout cars, and you felt like this deal is interesting. You know, there's something there that maybe not everybody knows about. And how about this? Joey Haas is saying Jason Bunker tunes that hot rod for Tony. That's an impressive run. Congratulations to Jason Bunker. Really great young man. I don't know the total situation here around Pedregon. I really do believe by those two, Hagen and Caps winning first round, he's pretty much out. Good looking hot rod though.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Ah.
Ooh.
Okay, let's go. Are we going to go to Hagen? I like Hagen with a beard. Puffed the tire. I've never heard that phrase. That's new.
Puffed it. The Washington football team is putting it on the Bucks right now too.
And how about those
13-0? Wow.
I'm a New Jersey, Florida snowbird, so I'm a Giants Dolphins fan. How about the Dolphins and how about the Giants out of nowhere?
Oh man,
let's
my
do
buddy,
it.
My buddy is a huge Dolphins fan, and he was telling me, man, bet on the Dolphins money line.
Nope.
And I'm like, are you drinking? You know, he did, man. He cashed out pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, they've been terrible this year. They've been terrible. It's funny. I sit and watch them, and being a performance coach, like you said, like they're a young, fun team, and I think the coach wants to like be a disciplined, like Patriots sort of guy. Yep. And it's like that team, they'll perform if you make it fun. They'll perform if you make it serious. They're not performing.
That's interesting that you think. I mean, I can relate. I mean, I know. Yeah, I've seen that so many times in drag racing, where like with sponsors primarily, you keep it fun. You've got a sponsor that'll keep signing checks. You start turning it into stress meetings, purchase orders, stressful scenario after stressful scenario, and you will send a sponsor running for the hills. I mean, I've seen it happen so many times, man. You got to keep it fun, you know?
It's one of their defensive linemen, Christian Wilkins, is, I know him from around and stuff like that, but he is like, even on offense, like the offense will score and he'll be the first person in the end zone, like patting someone on the head. And it's like, how did he get there? It's just like,
yeah.
But like that's the thing where it's like, and sometimes it gets frustrating, right? Because they'll be losing by 30 points and he'll still be doing that. And it's like, dude, just sit your butt down somewhere, like stop it. But it's like, no, like the more they do it, the more energy they get, and the more they go. And it's like, what we miss?
Sorry, J.R. Todd's car like super knocked the tire off there, and
Andy Reid tries to do that, but he don't make it very far down the field.
I think Andy Reid's lost some weight. He's looking better. Yeah.
We went to the hospital a few weeks ago, so I'd say they put him on a diet.
Yeah.
No more cheeseburgers.
Oh man, that guy, he loves him some Denny's.
Some cheeseburgers. How about
cheeseburgers
a cheeseburger?
Too, yeah.
How about a cheeseburger?
I'm with him. I'm a big cheeseburger fan.
I'm a vegetarian.
Really?
I don't know if you guys know that I'm a vegetarian now.
I did not know that.
Yeah, tell him about the time.
Really weird, Jason.
Can I tell a story about Jason real quick? So Jason and I met up in New York City one time, and we went out to some
New York City.
I can't remember what we were doing. We went to some little kind of hole in the wall bar grill late night eatery type of thing. And I love New York City.
In Alphabet City.
What's that mean?
There's a part of New York City where the street names are just letters. It's A, B, C. So
okay. Well, it's crazy. Like buildings are everywhere, tall people are everywhere. So we go sit down at this bar. Jason orders a drink. I order a drink. Blah blah blah. We're sitting there. I order some appetizers or whatnot. Jason's sitting there and he reached over and he's eating this. And he's like, God, these are good. What is this? And I said, bacon wrapped tater tots, bro. And he's like, they're what? I was like, bacon wrapped tater tots, man. And he's like, yeah, I'm a vegetarian. So I'm going to stop eating those now. It was so funny. I'm like, yeah, man. Hell yeah, they're good. They're bacon wrapped tater tots.
I'm a meatitarian. I don't eat anything but meat.
Yeah.
Well, it's so hard. It's so hard, like especially in some place like New York, where it's like every place has a world-class chef. So you're like, man, they really did these potatoes up. Like, what is this? And then it's like, oh, it's bacon. It's like,
you've been missing out on.
Yeah. Oh, it happens.
Oh,
there's a good bacon happens a good once a year where someone like, you know, like I don't know how people mistaken like what a vegetarian is. Like it's pretty simple. Like I don't eat meat, right? But like I'll go certain places and they'll be like, oh, I'm like, is it vegetarian? They'll be like, yeah, it's vegetarian, whatever. And then like as soon as I take a spoonful or whatever, it's like, no, there's like pork in this or bacon. And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, we just had that conversation.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but we like, you know, we put like a whole pig's head in our like string beans or something like that. It's like
we put a whole pig's head.
Yeah, you know, it's Southern food, or you know, like Asian places are one of the worst in that, because it's just like, yeah, no, we definitely put bacon in the fried rice, and it's like, don't. I just told you.
I just told you.
We just had this conversation. My family's the worst too.
Were badass though. They really.
Oh yeah.
I love New York City. Like I totally respect why you moved. You know what I mean? And I don't. Like, I understand, I'm not a big fan of some of the politics and all that stuff, but tabling all that, I tell people all the time, if you haven't seen New York City with like your own eyes, it is a sight to behold. Just like, I don't know, to think that human beings are responsible for all this. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty impressive. I mean, it really, you're laughing, JT, but you would shit. You show up in New York City and it's like Home Alone 2. It really is. Like I just am transported to Home Alone 2 and Macaulay Culkin every single time. Like it's just so special.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird. Like, not to turn this into a political show, but it's like if you live there, like the politics make sense if you live there, because it's like that dense. Like there's so many people. There's just so many people, right? Like we, I mean, talking about the crowd there in Pomona, like. The Super Bowl, like, or Madison Square Garden. Like Madison Square Garden in New York City is right in the middle of town, and people will make a big deal of like, oh my God, the game's about to let out, so there's going to be traffic jams everywhere. It's like, no, like Madison Square Garden is not a big deal in New York City, because every building next to Madison Square Garden employs the same amount of people, also probably employs 17,000 people. So during rush hour, you have 60 buildings in like a 2-block radius that all have 17,000 people going in and out of it. So it's like you do a big event, there's no dent on the infrastructure. Like there's no dent at all. Like
it is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like most cities, if you have like a huge arena downtown, like JT, think of what happens when the Cardinals have a game. Downtown St. Louis, you lived in St. Louis, Dukes. It's bananas.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't breathe because the Cardinals game just ended. Like, you don't want to be near St. Louis when the Cardinal game is getting out. But, like, to Jason's point, you know, Madison Square Garden can be completely sold out for, you know, Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather or whatever. And at the end of the night, traffic, it makes no difference. Because it's just a normal day.
Yeah, it's 1/100th of what rush hour was.
Okay, here we go with Pro Stock, guys. I'm going to read Josh's breakdown on this. Basically,
I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, this is going to be lit. Let's throw this up on the screen. Greg Anderson basically wins the title if he goes to the final. He leads Erica by 47 points. If they meet in the semifinals, which they could, she would have to win that race and then win the entire race to win the championship. Not exactly something that I don't think Erica is capable of doing, but definitely a tall order. We've talked a lot in the past. Nate, you've written stories about this. It's hard to race out front, right? I mean, it's we talk about it in stick and ball sports all the time. A lot of teams, they can't maintain a lead, right? They need to be down late in the fourth. And if they've got a shot, they're going to win. They almost need that scenario to succeed. It's going to be interesting to see how Greg Anderson and company, that team, handle this moment racing out front. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have that. They've got to maintain that gap. They don't have that perhaps little extra edge or a little extra momentum that comes from scraping and clawing like Elite Motorsports has. It's gonna be fun to watch, man.
Yeah. One of the things that's always a head game in drag racing is like not knowing where the bullets are coming from. And it's like one of the cool things about drag racing is like, well, there's really only one bullet, like, well, two, your car and the person, well, probably three, your car, the track, and the person in the next lane. But, you know, and I think Greg Anderson is such a veteran, and the KB team, they're such veterans that they'll be able to focus on that. But like I watched the Richard Freeman interview that you had a couple weeks on the West Buck show, and all just the movement of people and who all's going to be with Elite next year, and where the bullets may be coming from today. And Craig Anderson, and it's one, how do you keep track of that? How do you not keep track of it and keep it out of your focus and just do your job?
I agree. I mean, you don't know where the bullets are going to be coming from today. I'd say everybody, the way the qualifying order stacked up, I mean, Greg Anderson versus John Callahan. I mean, you obviously got to give that to Anderson, not only just being number one qualifying, but a kind of part-time team. Kramer and Delco, which I believe we have on the right in front of us. That's an interesting shot there with Greg Anderson and Richard Freeman over his shoulder. Matt Hartford versus Bo Butner. Erica Enders versus Steve Graham. Kyle Koretsky versus Troy Coughlin Jr., Aaron Stanfield versus Christian Quadra, Dallas Glenn versus Alan Krasinski, Mason McGaha versus his father, Chris McGaha. This is it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Who's this? Oh, Kenny Delco. He's really kind of had a good year. They've really improved that program, it seems like, come a long way. Derek Kramer looked like he was off the blocks first. Got him by a car and a half, maybe a little more. Buck, you said the other day about having more old school pro mods. I always like it when people call me Buck. I think that's kind of funny. It's an old fashioned thing. You know what I mean? I don't hear it that much. It's but Buck, you said the other day about having more old school bodies in pro mod. How do you feel if Funny Car did that? I think it would be way more interesting. I think it's just hard to sell to there's such a high level motorsports, I think, have a direct connection to late model vehicles. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. I do think nostalgia nitro funny cars rule, and I would love to see more of that type of stuff. I don't know if you could merge those two worlds, Gordon. Good question though.
Yeah.
I wish funny cars were more visibly different from one another. You know what I mean? Because they all look like door stops to me.
Yeah, one of the hard parts there, and I get some people's argument will be, but you only have one or two manufacturer support. But the thing is, if you let one car go off the rail, then you lose all manufacturer support. That happens, especially on the sports car racing stuff that I do, where it's sports cars want to race sports cars. So, we think we're doing a great thing, but it's sure, let's let this one car come in. And then all of a sudden, all the manufacturers are we don't want to beat that car. We don't want to lose to that car. We don't want to be seen on the track with that car. We're a sports car company. True. We race sports cars. So it's I'm assuming the only people right now, well, I guess all three, Dodge, Chevy, and what am I missing? Mopar, or Ford. Yeah. Are they all supporting someone in Top Fuel? I'm sorry, Funny Car right now?
I think I'm pretty disappointed in all those companies you just mentioned. Dodge is the only one I'm really not. I don't feel like Ford and Chevy are doing a whole lot for our sport right now. You know what I mean? The fact that we don't have a Chevy car, a Dodge, you know what I mean? I feel like they should have a bigger presence in our sport than they do right now. We've got Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan literally carrying on the side of their car primary sponsorship, a manufacturer, the Direct Connection. It's owned by Dodge. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see that a little bit more. I feel that's a real tragedy, to be honest. We don't have more manufacturer support.
I talked to Dallas Glenn a couple weeks ago for a story that will be appearing in an upcoming issue, talking about kind of the state of pro stock and specifically the youth movement, but he said that GM actually supports the GM, some of the KB teams, maybe the elite teams, more than people realize. And he said if the other manufacturers provided that same support, Dodge or even Ford, he said those teams could be just as competitive as a Camaro, but GM is the one that has any kind of involvement in pro stock right now.
I believe it, man. I don't know why it is. I'm sure there's somewhere along, if you just think about the history, 70 years of organized drag racing, how do we not have like a more intimate relationship with the mainstream auto manufacturers? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just seems surprising to me that after all these years, yeah, you go, Jason.
Pick me. The disconnect. Drag racing is like it's rebels. It's rebellion.
Yeah, it's outlaws. Yeah.
And so, the manufacturers are probably more globalized than they've ever been. And the truth is, the real truth is that drag racers don't want to hear the global conversation of where the world is going. And so the manufacturers don't want to hear about drag racing. Like, the world is going towards all words that I'll get shot for saying, like sustainability, electric, all this other stuff that, yeah, but that's the thing.
No, I get it.
So then you get no money. That's the thing, right? Like, it's like,
remember, Jason, you and I having that conversation about Ford in like the months leading up to the World Door Slammer Nationals this year. Yep. We were actually contemplating putting together, Jason and I were working on this, contemplating doing a like electric vehicle shootout. You know what I mean? Because we knew that was probably the only way we could get any sort of sponsorship support from Ford Chevy, was to kind of go after what they're interested in right now.
Sad.
Well, they would throw money at it. Like, find a like not at a drag strip, but go anywhere and find a GM, Ford, or Chrysler. I don't even know the name of their company anymore. Actual like corporate representative, and say the word engine to them. They won't even reply to you. Like, it's powertrain. We have a powertrain or propulsion division. Like, say the word engine, and they have no clue what you're talking. Like, not that they don't have a clue what you're talking about, but they'll get fired for talking about engines. Like, it's propulsion and powertrain.
Here's E.
There's E. All right. What a moment. I think the spine of these shows, guys, is being authentic and being honest. I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but this is as close to this is a fantastic situation for Erica, right? This is a race that she should win handily, right? This is this isn't a highly competitive matchup. It's drag racing. Never say never. You never know what's going to happen. That's why we race these cars. Anything can happen. But I'm just curious. Don't you think that that's almost something that creates a little bit of pressure? Because now you're in this moment where you're expected to win right here. You know what I'm saying?
That's sometimes harder than anything.
I think it is sometimes harder.
Are we just going to bypass that bad World Door Slammer Nationals logo on?
Yeah, do you like that?
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? I love seeing that sticker on right on the window, right down where the mirror would be. TJ Coughlin runs one on his car as well, and I got to tell you, it's like I don't know, it gets me a little bit every time seeing the Jegs car. Like growing up watching all these Jegs Pro Stockers over the years, to see our logo on it is pretty dope, pretty cool. All right, guys, Erica Enders, Steve Graham. Erica taking her time staging here. Look at that army of people behind. What tells the tale more than that? There's like 3 people standing behind Steve Graham's car. He may or may not know them.
I'd say quarter of the people in the stands are probably with the Freeman camp.
Look at this. What is going on? Okay, that was a very okay. Goes red. Shakes the tires.
Hold on, we're watching it right here.
Takes the win.
Hey, you're spoiling it.
Oh, sorry. 001 red for Steve Graham. Wow. 6:57 with a 6, stout run. Impressive performance there from Erica. The round win that she needed. And how do you guys think it's interesting seeing Greg Anderson up on the starting line? Like, I always get a little bit of a kick out of how long these guys are willing to wait to go jump in their car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, most people want a few minutes. You know what I mean? Want a little bit of time to get strapped in and kind of get comfortable. Not the case, I guess. Let's. Should I throw the audio on, T?
It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I won't.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just joking.
Still can't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
Just barely.
How about now? Can y'all hear the audio of the show?
Nope.
Mm-mm. It's pretty exciting to know that Bo Butner will be back in pro stock full time in 2022.
Yeah, man. He's fun to be around.
I think we may be asking for more out of this technology than it's prepared to give us, so I'll just turn the audio off. Bo Butner here in the right-hand lane. That's Robert Freeman on the right-hand side of the car there, standing there with the door open. He does the clutch on that hot rod. Great guy. That was Jake Harrison, who oversees the Elite Performance Engine program, leaning down in the car. If I had to guess, he's changing leave RPM. We saw Steve Graham shake the tires really hard. I'd say a couple things. Likely a lot of times when the track starts to come around like this, you're shaking the tires because you're not being aggressive enough. It's slow shake. So he may have reached in there, Jake, and turned up the launch RPM if I had to guess. Yep, shook. That right lane is going to have an impact here today. I don't know what's going on necessarily. We've seen some guys make okay runs over there, but it definitely looks like the left-hand lane is the favored lane right now. Will be interesting to see. If that becomes a factor in the second round. You know, supposing that Greg Anderson continues on here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a track warming thing, like a shade thing, or just different in the lanes? Like where
somebody in the comments said that the left lane is usually comes around probably right about now, but in the morning it's not there. So
yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to interrupt Erica.
Matt Hartford. Wow. That will be a titanic matchup because Matt Hartford, I'm not saying he's nowhere near had her number, but he is a guy that can leave on her and he can run with her right now. So very interesting right there.
Yeah. And fun fact, Erica can fall asleep absolutely anywhere. It's kind of amazing.
Do you guys
just like middle of a show?
So I guess based on that second round matchup, it's safe to assume that Elite, any of the gamesmanship that was going on in qualifying didn't really work out, right? Because that strategy didn't play out because they certainly don't want to run Matt Hartford in second round. I mean, that's the last thing that they want to have to deal with right here.
Mm-hmm.
And Hartford went from Elite to KB last year, right?
Correct. Not a super pleasant change there either. So, I mean, I'm not saying there's bad blood, but I mean, it's definitely a highly competitive situation.
Well, look at this.
Holy crap. What?
Wow. Both cut good lights too.
Wow. They both cut good lights.
Yeah. Those are two of the really, really solid young guns in pro stock right now. Both in their second year in the class, first full season, and I think we're going to see a lot more from those guys in the coming years.
Oh
yeah, it's cool to have young folks where, I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but it's cool to see young folks where funding isn't an issue. Because they'll stay around. It happens in all motorsports where it's like you have a young person, everyone gets excited about them, and then the funding goes away, and it's like, well, that was a great story. Not.
It's true. It drives JT crazy, man. Yeah, Billy Carroll, great point. Troy got down the right lane, but how about there was about a mile an hour different? I mean, it would appear to me KB has come across something in 2021. I mean, they've picked up some power. Greg Anderson, 12 number one qualifying efforts here in 2021. Just insane to have that kind of a string. 12. I mean, that's 12 out of 18 races he qualified number one. That's bananas to me. Stan Waxford asking, what's the backstory on Hartford leaving elite? Stan, we'll get to that as soon as this round is over. I'll fill you in with the best of my ability here.
I don't want to interrupt this round, but one other thing that we should talk about is I see the HendrickCars.com. They also ended up sponsoring Kyle Larson in NASCAR. And one of the things that Rick Hendrick said, he was like, this isn't like a joke. Like HendrickCars.com, like the online platform for selling cars for us, is like now a huge thing. But you guys are cheating. You're watching before us.
No God.
Okay, what happened? Oh, Przinski, or who was that? John Callahan? He left before the tree was activated? Yeah, basically.
Yep.
654 with a 9, friends.
Yeah.
654 with a 9. That is flexing right there. I mean, that really was. I mean, because it looked like Erica made a really good run. You know what I'm saying? But she went 657 with a 9, I believe. He's got her by 3. I mean, that's impressive. What a run.
Well, I mean, here's me being a little bit ignorant on, like, can you actually, I mean, I get that they could have played a little bit safe and tuned it back, but with the car, if they would have, the car made it down the track or
I don't think what's the conditions out there right now? Nate, do you have, can somebody look up the weather?
I'm not real sure. During the nitro classes, everyone seemed to be kind of bundled up a little bit. I think it may have been a little bit cooler in the morning, but
it's 84.
Okay.
So in Pomona, which is surprising to me, to be honest with you. Unseasonably warm in Southern California, it would seem. The high is 90 today. So 84 degrees out there. That's a good question, Jason. I mean, I would say they couldn't have left a lot on the table. It's so hard. It's not as easy to slow these things down as people like to believe. You know what I mean? Like, I think people like to think that, hey, this is a pretty easy round win. Let's just turn it from a 10 to like a 7.5. But it's much more detailed than that. Dry, high pressure, but warm.
Dallas has been absolutely killing the trees.
Oh, dude.
Let's see what he does here.
16% humidity.
I'll take that. I didn't even, being in Florida, I didn't even process that.
Yeah.
It's 116 degrees humidity here.
Everybody going red. I mean, I guess everybody's pressing, but
cut another great light there.
What do you do?
Let's see here.
18.
Oh, 18. That kid's good, man. I mean, to be that good when you don't necessarily have to be. I mean, he didn't need to go. 18 slow for him, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a little slow for him. So, I mean, that was a conscious decision not to risk it, if I had to guess. I mean, that's him going, you know what? Why press? No need to go red. And now another.
Still good.
Here's the situation that I'm kind of recognizing is, could Greg Anderson ask for a more favorable situation? He's got Dallas Glenn and Kyle Koretsky still in, and Matt Hartford still in. KB Racing, they're taking up half the field right now, going into round 2.
Yeah,
so
it's such a stacked lineup. They've been good as a team all season long, and I'm sure that's just going to continue today as they try to get Greg his, I believe, 5th championship, right?
I think that's correct.
I think that's right.
So we've got Erica Enders and Hartford next round. That's the race to watch. I mean, obviously Greg needs to win. Trying to see Dallas went a 57 with a 2, Billy Carroll. Hold on. It's going to be a really, really fun second round. I mean, what a great job. It's fantastic. This is when the countdown format really serves us. You know what I mean? There's a lot of complaints about the countdown format throughout the year, but man, having the whole season, having all these championships come down to the last day of the season, they're not even the first round. I mean, this is going in deep into elimination rounds. Really, really awesome. We're lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, who's this?
It was so interesting last night when qualifying, and you were sitting up here with me when it happened. Steve Johnson makes a mistake.
Okay, I didn't know who we were talking to.
They were taken completely out of it.
I'm going to read through Josh's synopsis here on Matt Smith leads Angel by 41 points and Steve Johnson by 45. He could meet Angel in the second round and possibly Steve in the semis. Angel faces Angie Smith in the first round too. If Angel beats Matt, he could meet Steve in the semis, which could be winner take all. Lot of championship our scenarios here that are fun to talk about.
I'm gonna need a flow chart for that one.
Yeah, that's a lot to follow. I apologize, but huge shout out to Josh for helping me with these scenarios. So basically, we got Matt Smith leading the points. This matchup here is significant, right? Scotty Polachek. That's Angel closest to us, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Angel and Angie.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I'm watching the wrong round. My bad.
No. I think there was a Vance Hines bike right before that too. It looked.
Oh. I need to hold my reactions.
I know. I'm having trouble doing it too.
Oh, Angie went red?
Shoot.
Wow.
Angel almost went into the wall.
Angie went red. Angel, that's a rough one there, guys. Oh, 20, bad red.
Yeah.
I don't think she would have had anything for her anyways, obviously.
Yeah.
So here's Steve Johnson. Who's he yelling at? Who's the crew guy yelling at? Huh.
As if that, well, no, I was going to say as if that team needs any commotion, but I'm not even processing all the commotion they've had. That's what a dramatic 2 years for these guys. And probably the best performance they've had over the past couple of years too. Like, how do you put those two together?
That's no joke, man. I hope Steve can win 15. It's Curtis Thomas, longtime friend of the show. What's up, Curtis? I hope Steve can win back-to-back. Felt bad that he lost 15 points yesterday. Yeah, he crossed the center line. Smoked a cone, I guess. Lost 15 points. What a tough moment. It's those little things like that can cost you a championship.
Ooh.
We're going to finish out this round. It's Pro Stock Bike now. Last thing.
You know, it's really cool to see Steve Johnson competing for a championship. He's been in the class since they were hand cranking the motorcycles to get him started, and he's been in the championship hunt before, but I think he's definitely got the best chance he's ever had.
So can I
they're talking to each other there. What's this? Okay.
I was going to say how old Jason Dukes is. What's Bryce's shop's name?
Star Racing.
Star Racing.
Yep.
I remember being a kid and being super excited when Steve Johnson rode the second Star bike. It was like, he's finally going to win. Oh, my God. That's how old Jason Dukes is.
In other news, the Dallas Cowboys have found their offense again. They're scoring, I think, what was it, 36 points in the first half, I think.
Oh, who are they playing?
Who are they playing? It just switched off.
Who's the guy on the white bike closest to us, the pizza sponsored guy?
That's Chris Bostic.
They've done a killer job. I know green's not really a race car color, but like he and his whole crew look exactly like boxes of pizza. And that's a good statement. Like it looks fantastic. All their branding is killer. Like the crew uniforms are killer. It's all really well done. Shout out to Chris Bostic.
Anyone know
Hunt Brothers?
Yeah, well, the connection there, because like that's one. It's a big company, and they're a big sponsor all throughout racing, so that they end up on a pro stock bike is pretty killer.
Don't you think, Jason? That's got to be I know somebody that knows somebody that owns Hunt Brothers Pizza type of thing.
Yeah, probably. But even at that they still get involved and do it. I mean, you know.
Oh, it's awesome.
In motorsports, probably the biggest Hunt Brothers person is Kevin Harvick, and actually his son, Keelan. The Hunt Brothers sponsors Keelan's go-karting.
Yeah,
we need to get a pizza sponsor.
Kind of a funny story. I was down in Key West on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago with some of my racing buddies. You know, Matt Sackman was one of them. We run into a guy at one of the bars, turned out to be one of the Hunt brothers. We got to talking about racing, and he, you know, he was very familiar with drag racing, had his eye on it. So it wasn't a huge surprise to see them pop up. But
did you get that dude's number?
I was about to say, we need to get you a credit card machine, Nate.
Oh my God.
Big dog, I got to teach you about marketing.
Business card.
How did you not come back with a full page advertiser?
Do you still have it?
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
Find it. Because if you have like the email address or cell phone number for one of the Hunt brothers, they're going to be sponsoring a segment on the West Buck Show, probably starting next Wednesday.
Let's just start doing the ads now. I mean,
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this time to remind you that each and every episode of the Drag Illustrated Ride Along is brought to you by our friends at Hunt Brothers Pizza.
Where we personally know one of the Hunt brothers.
Yeah.
Where we have known one of the brothers for a long time.
Bought him a beer at a bar one time.
Well, we got to talking with him about racing. You know, one of us had a racing shirt on or something. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, the company I work with, we're involved in motorsports. And he says, oh, yeah, it's Hunt Brothers. We sponsor NASCAR. And we're thinking, oh, this guy's like in their marketing department. And he hands us his business cards. We walk away and it says, like, oh, Dave Hunt. And it's like, oh, he's one of the brothers.
But there's a life lesson to be learned in that conversation, Nate, because I've always found guys that are like really great leaders. You won't hear them talk about the people that work for them or the business that they own, you know what I mean? Or that they run. They'll identify as being part of a team, people they work with. And that's a classic example of a guy that's likely an incredible leader. You know what I mean? And based on the success of Hunt Brothers Pizza, that's pretty cool to see. And Screwball Whiskey, says Billy Carroll. We do need like a booze sponsor. That's going to have to happen. I'm working on Fran at Tequila Commissario. I really think that's going to happen. We've had a lot of great meetings, and I know that he has a desire to be involved with the sport of drag racing. If you remember, they were sponsoring a Pro Mod car, Steve Matusic's Pro Mod car. Unfortunately, they unveiled that sponsorship the very race that Steve had an unfortunate accident in Indy and got the car on its roof and tore it up pretty good. Pretty much pulled the plug on that sponsorship situation. But I do know that Tequila Commissario is trying to make their way back to the sport of drag racing. So.
Yeah, I'm about to get kicked off the show because I'm going to go off script. And you talk about like, you know, the leaders who like they know they're the leaders, so they don't really like come off. Guys, if you want to sponsor the West Buck Show, blow West Buck's phone and text up and sponsor that show right now. It literally is like the hottest property in drag racing. Sponsor that show, and I guess I'll see you next week because I'll probably get kicked off right now.
No, I appreciate it. That's good. That's good. Stan Waxberg asks, let's get back to that Hartford story. Basically, man, classic case of checking your options, exploring options, and then having one of them go away. That's really what it was. Matt Hartford was exploring his options as far as who would provide his power. I believe headed into 20, excuse me, was exploring who he would be partnering with for engines in 2020. Made some calls, and that kind of resulted in one of those options going away, Elite Performance, and he went and joined forces with KB Racing. So it was just a little bit of he was checking the market, seeing what was out there and available, and didn't set well with everybody involved, and he ended up joining forces with the KB, man, and clearly he's made the most of that relationship. I think he's one of the best drivers on the tour, a really, really good, consistent driver. He's never going to, very rarely, if ever, is he going to be the reason you lose a round. So yeah, that's a little bit of the backstory there. Just got home to watch and already see that 2 of my 3 drivers went up in smoke and lost first round. Sorry, D-Bab, number 2. You'll have days like, I guess, always next year. Yep, that's tough. How about Steve Johnson, man? I think he's a polarizing character, and I guess we will wrap this up because I believe we are at the end of the first round of eliminations. Is that true? Are we all done?
Yep.
We so.
So what is Erica Enders bitching about people's comments for qualifying? I didn't hear any griping, I guess.
I didn't either.
Don't totally know. Well, hey guys, let's wrap this up. Closing notes, and I want to thank you guys for burning up an hour and a half on your Sunday afternoon to talk a little bit of drag racing with me. This was a lot of fun. If it wasn't, I mean, this is one of those things where we're experiencing some of the problems that drag racing, you know what I mean, has to fight through. Is that there's going to be an hour here before the pros are back up, before Top Fuel's back in the lanes. But first and foremost, I think we got to give a shout out to the NHRA. Just a great season, sellout events. The way the sport has been presented on Fox, I think, has been fantastic. A lot of the stuff that's going on this season, I think, are big victories, to be honest, for the sport of drag racing. So shout out to the NHRA, Camping World coming on board as a sponsor, maintaining that relationship here in 2021. I just think a great season for the NHRA by and large. A lot of interesting storylines, new teams, fresh faces, young guns. I don't know what more you could ask for, to be totally honest. Let's break down a couple of these championship situations real quick. Steve Torrance seals the deal. Top Fuel Championship. Which number is this, Nate?
I believe 4th or 5th.
4th or 5th
I
championship.
think 4th in a row and maybe 5th overall.
That's
Holy
amazing.
crap.
That's amazing. Like just thinking about
maybe
man.
3rd overall. I don't have all the stats in front of me.
Let's somebody text Josh. Text Josh real quick. We're not statisticians here. We just Google it. We leave that space in our mind for other things.
The stories behind the stats.
We're more about the stories behind it. Bean says this is his 4th championship. I will say what Steve Torrance has accomplished in a relatively short amount of time is kind of hard to quantify. He's made such an impact here. Normally it takes decades and decades and decades to really get yourself into legend status. But I think Steve Torrance is a Top Fuel legend at this point. I really do. I know maybe his story doesn't have the layers that Shirley Muldowney's does, or doesn't have the layers maybe that Don Garlitz does, but this guy's a Top Fuel legend. To win like this, to sweep the countdown at one point, a couple of years ago, to do the things that he's done, multiple races without a round lost. Really impressive performance.
It's hard to have that consistency, and that for that long, something, not breaking or, whatever. I mean, around, his whole crew, everything that's done over there is just top notch.
But that's what I think too. I think the legendary status goes to the whole team rather than just the driver, because of what the whole team is up against. And I mean, they started out, I guess, with Alan Johnson and just try, sort of follow in the game plan there. But then, I mean, at least the way it looks like to me, then they went out on their own and did it their way. And that's, in nitro racing, going out on your own and doing it your own way, that seems pretty not smart, but they did it. I think that makes them legends in its own right.
His ability behind the wheel, his consistency behind the wheel, is also hard to overstate. JT, as a diehard Chiefs fan, and what you experienced seeing the Chiefs win a Super Bowl and look like a lock to win another one, look like the favorite. Don't you agree that trying to win year after year after year, I mean, you've experienced that, how hard that is to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much pressure, and like you were saying, like these games you're supposed to win. That's a trap. That you're going to fall into. And like right now they're struggling, and I think a lot of that is just a lot of pressure. And eventually I think they'll snap out of it. But I think that for him to just keep on every race and have these results, and I mean, just across the board, it's amazing, really.
And to do it, I mean, there's some great comments here, like Curtis Thomas and Bruce Barth are both mentioning the Laganas. I mean, that young man, Dom, almost lost his life. You know what I mean? And so to have that tragic situation unfold amidst all of this, and to be able to keep it together and keep everybody's head in the game and win, stack up championships, you can't really say enough about Steve Torrence and them Capco boys. Congratulations on behalf of all of us here and everybody at Drag Illustrated to that group for one hell of a run. And I don't see it ending anytime soon. I do think Top Fuel is going to look much different. Nitro Racing is going to look a lot different in 2022. It's going to be fun to see. It's going to be fun to talk about. Funny car. The challenge continues. The championship quest continues for Ron Capps. He and Matt Hagan are both in the mix. I believe they don't meet each other next round, do they? Yes, they meet each other in the second round, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. Mm-hmm. So basically, Hagan needs to take out Capps in round 2 and then win the whole race. I think Dickie Venables, crew chief Dickie Venables, and Matt Hagan are capable of doing this, but boy, oh boy, does Capps look strong. He looks confident. That whole group, they're in stride. They're in full stride right now. It's going to be a ton of fun. I hope all of you guys tune into the Fox broadcast, NHRA.tv, and keep your eyes peeled because it's going to be a fun one, man. It's Ron Capps, Matt Hagan, all the storylines, like Jason mentioned, these guys were teammates, are teammates technically, will no longer be teammates in 2022. Have to believe there's going to be a collective effort from Don Schumacher Racing. I mean, we don't know. I don't have a mole there, but Jason mentioned it earlier. I'm sure DSR wants to keep that championship team, you know what I mean, kind of under their umbrella or whatever. So Pro Stock, absolute barn burner. Erica Enders and Greg Anderson both advance. They will, if they win E2, they would meet in the semifinal round. Erica would have to take out Greg Anderson and then win the race in order to win the championship, her 5th overall. Really, this has been the story of drag racing, in my opinion, for the last few seasons. JT and I have talked a lot about this on our Wednesday show. I think the most interesting storyline that's existed in the NHRA has been Pro Stock the last few seasons. Yeah. I mean, from the change to 24 races to 18 races, in the influx of cars and participation that we saw, and then Erica and Greg just going back and forth, and it, either being in their hands or someone else's hands. What's going to happen? I mean, we all remember the whole shot loss Jason Line had to Christian Quadra in Vegas last year that handed the championship essentially to Erica Enders. I mean, this has been super fun to watch. There's a strong fan following behind these two drivers, and it's the ultimate rivalry, right? KB Racing versus Elite Motorsports. Greg Anderson's had a historic season. We mentioned it earlier, 12 number 1 qualifying efforts here in 2021. That's
crazy.
Bonkers, man. Yeah. He is he's got a hot rod right now. I think it goes without saying that he's got the baddest car on the property. If it comes down to performance, if these cars leave together, I believe you have to give the nod to Greg. Erica's got her hands full, but I tell you guys, be watching because this is going to be a fun one. We just finished up Pro Stock Motorcycle. Will be a ton of fun to watch as well. Steve Johnson, I think the people's champion by and large, looking good, looking like he's got a shot to pull, kind of come from behind, score a championship, but Matt Smith hanging tough, flat bill, long hair and all. We got a new look, Matt Smith in 2021, and it's going to be a fun one, guys. JT, Jason Dukes, Nate Van Wagenen, Team Drag Illustrated, thank you guys so much. Thank all of you. I say this every week. It's great to have Murder Tundra here. It's great to have Dukes in the house. Great to have Nate. But the difference maker is all of y'all. Everybody that tunes in, tells us where they're watching from, gives us commentary, insight, answers questions that we don't know. Hell, Hilljack Nitro Shack, I think, knows more stats than we do. Curtis Thomas, also a student of the game. So thank you guys so much. Remember to click like, click share, help us spread the gospel of drag racing. And till next time, we'll see you at the drag strip. Thank you guys, Billy Carroll, everybody, for being a part of this, man. Champions chair coaching.
Captain's chair.
Captain's chair, my bad.
Why not everybody? I'm just throwing that out there.
Great concept. Hey, thanks, guys.
Go Giants and Dolphins.
Yeah, man. A lot of football to watch today. A lot of sports, man. It's a manly Sunday. Sundays are for the boys, right? That's what they say.
It's deer season here.
Is it? I forget. Like, people don't talk about deer season down here in Texas the way they do in Missouri.
Oh.
Must be because there's other shit to do, you know.
Yeah. I think Texas is probably big enough. You could just probably kill stuff all year long. No, or
there's.
How does it work? Like, no, JT, is there deer season in Texas, or is it just you?
I don't know. Down in Texas,
I think so.
Yeah,
I think there is. Yeah. We'll have to Google it. We'll revisit deer season on the show Wednesday.
Yeah, we
got another show tomorrow night.
We got a beer hunt.
Beer hunt. Final reminder, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Drag Illustrated Ride-Along returns for, I believe, episode 5 of No Prep Kings. We're lining up our guests right now. I talked to Ryan Martin. It might be Ryan Martin. It might be Boosted. I'm kind of working out the details. But remember to tune in tomorrow night as we take in the next episode of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. It's been a ton of fun. That show has a little bit different of a vibe than anything else we do. It's more of a bench racing BS session than anything else. We had Dean Carnes on last week, Disco Dean Carnes, and
dude,
he really stole the show. Funniest dude I've encountered in a long time. So it's, going to be a lot of fun. It sounds like deer season starts tomorrow in Michigan for Bruce Farth. So you guys be safe if you're out there hunting. If you're out at the racetrack, be safe. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Later.